Jack stared at the smoking remains of what had once been his microwave, then at Daisy, who stood nearby with her fox ears twitching nervously and her tail wrapped around her waist like a furry belt of shame. "You put metal in it again, didn't you?" Jack asked, though he already knew the answer. Daisy's amber eyes widened with that innocent expression she'd perfected over the past 6 months of living together. "The human heating box rejected my offering of sustenance. I believed it required additional conducting materials to function properly." Jack rubbed his temples. When the Galactic Housing Authority had assigned him an alien roommate as part of the cultural exchange program, he'd expected challenges. He hadn't expected his fox-eared, tail-wagging roommate to treat every human invention like an ancient puzzle that required ritualistic sacrifice to operate. "Daisy, we've been through this. The microwave doesn't want offerings. You just press buttons and it heats food." "But that makes no sense," Daisy protested, her tail bristling. "On Vulpina Prime, all technology requires proper ceremonies and tribute. How else would the machine spirits know you respect them?" This was the fundamental problem. The Vulpinarians had achieved faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and gravity manipulation, but they'd done it all through what they called harmony with machine spirits. Every piece of their technology was operated through elaborate rituals, offerings, and what humans would call superstition. When first contact had been established, human scientists had been baffled. Vulpinarian ships worked perfectly, their cities functioned flawlessly, and their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's. Yet when human engineers examined their devices, they found components that shouldn't work, power sources that defied physics, and control systems that seemed to operate on belief rather than logic. The breakthrough came when Dr. Sarah Chen realized the truth. Vulpinarian technology worked because they unconsciously used psychic energy to bridge the gaps in their engineering. Their rituals weren't superstition. They were focusing techniques that channeled their natural telepathic abilities into their machines. Humans, lacking these psychic gifts, had to rely on crude but effective methods, actual engineering. "Look," Jack said, opening the refrigerator and pulling out a sandwich. "Watch how humans really use technology." He placed the sandwich on a plate, put it in the new microwave he'd have to buy tomorrow, pressed 3 buttons, and waited. 30 seconds later, the microwave beeped and he removed a perfectly heated sandwich. Daisy's ears perked up with fascination. "But you didn't offer any metal to the heating spirits. You didn't sing the warming chants. How did you communicate your desires to the machine?" "I didn't communicate anything. I just told it what to do with buttons and it followed its programming." "Programming?" Daisy tilted her head, fox-like. "You mean you bound enslaved spirits into your machines?" "No, no spirits, just circuits and electricity and physics." Daisy's tail drooped. "Your people must be very lonely, creating soulless machines that cannot be befriended." This conversation reminded Jack why humans had been gaining so much respect throughout the galaxy lately. When the Galactic Council had first encountered Earth, they'd dismissed humans as a primitive species with laughably basic technology. No psychic abilities, no harmony with machine spirits, no elegant solutions, just brute force engineering and stubborn persistence. But that primitive approach had advantages. When the Zephyrian Empire's ritual-dependent fleet had faced a solar storm that disrupted psychic fields, their ships had become helpless chunks of metal. Human ships, built with redundant systems and manual controls, had rescued thousands of Zephyrian civilians. When the Crystalline Collective's singing crystal computers had been silenced by a plague that affected their resonance singers, human digital computers had kept galactic communications running. When the ethereal masters' meditation-powered cities had fallen dark during a philosophical crisis that left their monks unable to concentrate, human engineers had rigged emergency power systems that worked regardless of anyone's spiritual state. "Your people are strange," Daisy said, interrupting his thoughts. She was examining the microwave with scientific curiosity, her sensitive nose twitching as she smelled the ozone. "You build machines that work without love, without respect, without any acknowledgement of their service." "But they work," Jack pointed out. "They work for anyone, anytime, regardless of mood or belief or psychic ability." "Yes," Daisy agreed thoughtfully. "That is actually quite remarkable. A Vulpinarian who lost their connection to the machine spirits would be helpless, but any human can operate any human device." "Exactly. Our technology might seem crude to other species, but it's reliable. It's democratic." You don't need special training or psychic gifts or spiritual enlightenment. You just need to know which buttons to press. Daisy's amber eyes gleamed with something Jack had learned to recognize. The expression she got when she was about to cause trouble in the name of scientific inquiry. "Jack," she said slowly, "what if we combined approaches? What if we built machines that worked through both human engineering and machine-spirit harmony?" Jack felt a chill of excitement mixed with terror. The last time Daisy had suggested combining human and Vulpinarian methods, they'd accidentally created a coffee maker that could predict the weather. The Galactic Patent Office was still trying to figure out how to classify it. Daisy, no. Remember what happened with the coffee maker? But think of the possibilities. Her tail was wagging now, always a dangerous sign. Machines that work perfectly through engineering, but can also be upgraded through spiritual enhancement. Technology that bridges the gap between species. Jack looked at his destroyed microwave, then at his enthusiastic Fox-girl roommate, then at the application form for the Galactic Innovation Prize sitting on his desk. Maybe being humanity's representative in the cultural exchange program wasn't just about teaching aliens to use human technology. Maybe it was about learning to build something better together. "All right," he said finally. "But this time we start with something that can't explode. Like a toaster." Daisy's ears perked up with delight. "Oh, Jack, you won't regret this. I know exactly which spirits prefer bread offerings." Jack was pretty sure he would regret this. But as he watched Daisy's excitement, he realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just their reliable, spirit-free technology. It was their willingness to adapt, to learn, and to find common ground with anyone. Even fox-eared aliens who thought microwaves had feelings. After all, the galaxy was a big place. There was room for both human logic and Vulpinarian magic, even if it meant buying a lot more fire extinguishers.